on
Todd
camera.
Anderson versus Paul Tracey.
Versus Paul Tracey has blue-black control, so that's interesting. I like this. This looks like fun. So Todd with 3 augers of Bolus on board, alongside a detention sphere, which not quite sure what's under the sphere. Likely a planeswalker. It appears to be. It might just be another Jace.
That's a Jace Architect of Thought over
there
there.
is a
Jace
Architect of Thought for Paul Tracey, and whoa, I guess that's.
Never mind. It's not this. That's removed.
Yeah, I guess it's removed. Is he? Wait a minute. Is he drawing a Jace?
What's happening here? We'll
Yeah,
find out.
I'm pretty sure that Jace is in play. Otherwise, why does it have
Dice on it?
Die on it, yeah.
I don't want to root against Todd, but this deck looks super sweet.
Okay, so it's a Liliana under the detention sphere, by the way.
Okay. Yeah, looking at his list, he has Liliana, Jace Architect of Thought, Tameo, and then after board he has Psychic Strike, Mind Grind, Negate. This is a nightmare for a control deck. He has Mind Grind.
Yeah, this is
card
really
will
crazy. Like,
obliterate you.
I love it.
He has a Thespian Stage for a 5th ground yard, or no, for a 4th ground yard. I've seen that played recently as one ofs. Not a fan yet.
Still not quite sure what happened with that Jace Memory Adept. It looks like it was exiled somehow.
I think he has a Psychic Strike in his hand here, or Dimir Charm. I can't see. His graveyard's a little too far away from us to see.
The graveyard's not on camera. That's what's throwing us off. So, looks like Witchbane Orb has resolved. Although I think Todd tried to negate it, and that was maybe what the Psychic Strike was.
Right.
He has a Dimir Charm in hand,
which is really weak against the control decks. I would have boarded them all out. Here's why. Every card's an instant.
Yeah.
What sorcery can you counter?
He can do the little mind sculpt here. He's going to look at
that's what we're using
top
for.
3. So he's going to go ahead and dump the Augur of Bolus in a Witchbane Orb and leave him with
Supreme Verdict.
I believe a Supreme Verdict, yeah. So Todd's going to untap here. We're not going to see all 4 Augurs of Bolus on the table at the same time, unfortunately. Todd swings it. Oh, he has another Witchbane Orb, even though one was just milled. Todd lands a Witchbane Orb after attacking into Jace with 2 Augurs and into Paul with 1, or the reverse. Split the attack there. I think Jace was on 1, so actually just attacked Jace with 1 Augur.
Which would be, I would call it an interesting play with 3 Augurs out to cast my drift here. I think once you get, with those 3 Augurs, that's a big problem if you don't have Jace keeping them under wraps. He has Evolving Wilds, I think he didn't sack in a turn. Tapping mana for a Desecration Demon.
Wow. That's a card you don't see a lot. Put the Desecration Demon on screen for people. It's a 6/6 for 4. 6/6 flyer for 4. What is it, out of Avacyn?
Yeah, it was a replacement for Abyssal Persecutor.
Yeah, it's very much like Abyssal Persecutor.
I like Abyssal Persecutor a lot more than this guy.
So yeah, there you go, 6/6 flyer for 4. At the beginning of each combat, that's both players' combat, any opponent may sacrifice a creature. If a player does, tap Desecration Demon and put a +1/+1 counter on it. So it grows and removes creatures, or it's just a 6/6 flyer, which seems pretty good.
It has a pretty big drawback. I don't think in this matchup it has as big of a drawback since the creatures are so limited, so it's pretty good. But against a lot of decks with like Lingering Souls,
yeah,
not so good.
Good point.
I see he drew a Sphinx's Rev.
And he's got a few lands.
This is where it's good. We've had talks about this. Problem is, I don't know how many cards are in Todd's library. It does not look like a lot. It looks like Paul does not have a Drown Yard, because I haven't seen him drowning in the turn. Oh, he has Wishbane on play, obviously. Can't drown.
Yeah.
So it looks like we're at the old Mexican standoff here.
Yeah, so Drown Yard, not a viable win condition for either player, because they're dueling Witchbane Orbs out.
I don't see an answer to Drown Yard or Witchbane Orb in Paul's sideboard here. Actually, there's nothing. He's got, it turns off his entire deck. Turns off Psychic Strike, Duress, Appetite for Brains, Mind Grind, and Witchbane Orb. And Drown Yard, excuse me. And Liliana Ultimate, and Jace Architect of Thought. When you do the Ultimate, I think it says target on Jace.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that is just a killer.
Yeah, this is kind of crazy. Like, All right, Todd's gonna go ahead and Sphinx his rev. 4, 5, 6. He's gonna do it for 6.
I think Todd has to be careful not to deck himself here. I think that's the only way he can lose this game. I don't see Paul being able to close it out currently with the Witchbane Orb.
I don't know how many. Yeah, the problem is, how is Todd going to win?
Right.
Because he's got a Desecration Demon on the other side of the board that...
I think he has 2 Detention Sphere, 1 left maybe. We came in this game late, so we have no way of knowing what's in the graveyard.
Todd's going to think twice. Yeah, he is looking for an answer to Desecration Demon, but I mean, his win condition right now is attacking with Augurs.
Well, he has a Wrath in his hand. He has a Spring Burn in his hand.
Yeah, but that wipes away his win condition.
Right,
he needs to either deal with the Desecration Demon alone or wipe the board and find another win condition. He does have Restoration Angels and Snapcaster Mages that can be win conditions.
I think I see Todd with 3 Drown Yards, so I think the goal, or 2 Drown Yards, I think the goal here is definitely an answer for the
Witchbane Orb.
But I don't, like you said, his options to do that are very limited. Let's see, he's got 2 Sphere. He has 1 Thunder Grid, and I think he obviously brought that in. His opponent, interesting enough, has Psychic Spiral in the main deck. So he is just a mill deck.
It's just an easier to cast Cancel and maybe easier to cast Dissipate.
Psychic Spiral, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Psychic Spiral and Psychic Strike. I keep
very close,
mixing the names up.
Yep. Spiral is a real interesting one to have main deck.
Yeah. So there's that Supreme Verdict we were talking about.
I think Todd's determined to get to the Detention Sphere, defend it with Counter Magic, which he has in his hand, and then finish him off with the Drown Yards. He has Snapcaster, Dissipate, so he is countering his counter all day. He just has to hit that Detention Sphere to win this game.
Draws land, passes back. It's land
exciting.
Go. This is really cool.
This is my forte.
I love this as well.
Whenever the less attacking, the better. You get to get in each other's minds, 6, 7 cards in each other's hands. Who knows what they have?
Todd just has 2 Detention Spheres in his 75, and we know 1 is on the board. Slightly off camera, Liliana is in detention.
Yep. All right, he's drawing verdicts everywhere.
Draws a Detention Sphere. All right. So now the thing is, this is going to remove his own Witchbane Orb as well.
Right, so he's got to count his library to make sure that's not going to be the end of him. I think Todd's drawn way more cards than his opponent, but I don't think... I see 1 Drown Yard over there. His lands are very sloppy. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, this is really risky because he removes the Drown Yard. He removes the Witchbane Orb.
I hope he realizes this, that he's doing that. It'd be a big mistake.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine he realizes it, but he's...
Yeah, well, it's easy for us, I guess, on camera to speculate. I've done some pretty dopey-headed things in my day. I mean, who hasn't spirited my opponents to get my spirits through and then realize...
Oh, crap.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I think he realized it.
Yeah, I think he had the Detention Sphere near the front, but passed back, discards Supreme Verdict at least. Was this an end of turn something? Okay, looks like I think twice or something. No, it was just a mill himself?
No, he discarded a verdict, but he had end of turn effect, so he had to undiscard it.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Oh. So what was the end of turn effect? Was it?
I think is that Thespian stage where he made a copy of something? So there's glare on the card. I can't see. It's a Thespian stage. He made it to a different land.
Well, Vampire Nighthawk for Paul, and Todd's on a 15-turn clock.
Yeah, I think he's holding about 1,000 ashes of that card. He keeps discarding verdicts, so maybe he's got less than he should.
All right, so he's playing Detention Sphere.
Tapping a Drown Yard to do so.
Yeah, that's interesting too.
I guess he's going to remove Nighthawk.
No, he hits the thing. He hits the orb. Now, in response to targeting the orb, is that what's happening here?
I think he's just responding to the orb itself. He just puts it straight in the graveyard. It makes it difficult for us to see what's happening. There's a battle going on. A good old-fashioned blue gunfight.
Yep, so a Dispel for whatever it was Paul tried to use. Can we get him to move his graveyard on camera a little bit?
You can slide it.
Just slide it over.
Everything over.
right, so
Oh, he does
sphere
not
is
realize it hits his too. He's not doing it. He's leaving his in play.
Yeah, make sure that the tension sphere hits his too. Yeah, there you go. He got it. He got it.
Oh man,
He got
he's.
it. Yeah, I mean,
I think Todd
it happens.
Yeah, I think like we said, it's a mistake that we see coming a mile away, but when you're under camera,
Yeah, you're not
it's
thinking
hard.
about
It's
it.
hard to see.
Tunnel vision into removing.
I think
your
Todd's got like
opponent's
10 cards in his library, and he's going to pay the price for this too.
stuff. Snapcaster Mage for Todd.
He has
He's
three
got
cards in
3
his hand?
cards.
3 cards in his deck.
Wow. Now he needs to find an answer for his own detention sphere.
He's got to find a Southern Growth. Oh man, poor Todd. I don't think he can win this game anyway with 3 cards on this. Oh, he's got the Psychic Strike. Psychic Spiral.
Psychic Spiral. Okay,
yeah.
so Snapcaster on Psychic Spiral.
See, they had the graveyard. We couldn't see that all the way at the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that creates a new dynamic here. If you don't have an answer to the Psychic Strike, then mission accomplished. Oh, he does not have an answer. All right. So if we would have known he had Psychic Spiral at the bottom of his graveyard, we would have.
Wizards, please stop naming your cards so similarly.
Yeah. Psychics. Next one will be Psychics. I don't know.
Psychic.
Psychic.
Psychic Surge.
Psychic Surge. There you go.
Psychic Strike. Psychic Surge. Psychic.
All right, so I retract all the mean things I said about Todd right there. He knew what he was doing.
Well, I don't know that I think we didn't say mean things about Todd. We just thought that he might be missing it. I think he did miss it,
Well,
but he
actually,
still may be okay.
Right.
I believe he's.
The game is. We know that Paul has 2 Psychic Spirals in his deck, so he might have the answer to send right back at
Wait,
him.
he only has 1 Psychic. Oh no,
he has another one. Yeah.
Wait, that's Psychic Strike.
God, we are getting blown away by these psychic words.
That's right. So there's 1 Psychic Spiral.
Let's just call it Spiral.
Psychic Spear. Psychic Spiral. Yeah, let's just do that. Spiral. There's only 1 Spiral in Paul's deck.
Okay.
75 entirely. He's got 3 strikes.
Well, it's definitely in his graveyard right now. So he has 3 Snapcaster Mage. I don't know how many are in his hand here.
Now
or
it looks like
any.
Paul is down to no cards. Yeah, we're cleaning up. So I think we're going to game 3 here. With 12 minutes left.
All right, so
these guys are going to have to play very quickly, but I'm glad we're going to get to see a game 3.
Yeah, definitely. To clean up all this, the commentating I just did, Todd did not realize it would hit his own Witchbane Orb. That's fact, because he was very shocked to see it.
Yeah, he didn't remove it when he first.
However,
the
he realized that the plan just shifted a little bit to we had to spiral him right now.
Yeah,
which he did, and it was successful.
Successfully resolves the Psychic Spiral, and that gets him the win in Game 2. So to take this match to Game 3, and I could just watch this matchup all day.
Yeah, it's great. Hope you guys are enjoying a little control versus
control.
It's grindy. I like grindy matches.
Me too. This is because it's a lot of thinking, a lot of different decisions, a lot of avenues to, what does this guy need.
I mean, we have a guy hitting his own detention sphere or his own Witchbane Orb here, and then resulting in
against
a win.
a deck that very much does not want you to have a Witchbane Orb.
Right.
But yeah, he had to do that. I'm very impressed by Paul's list. So we saw the Desecration Demons and the Nighthawk, Snapcaster. He's got Liliana the Veil, Jace Architect of Thought, and Tameo. All those in the creature slot, by the way.
Right.
Gotta love that. There is no Planeswalker slot. But
when I create my list, it's all a jumbled mess.
Yeah.
I apologize. Now sitting in the other shoe here, it's easier to see now.
Yeah. So he's got 2 copies of Mutilate main because he's not playing white, so there is no Supreme Verdict. That's his way to clear the board, although I'm kind of surprised to not see maybe more copies of Mutilate, given that a lot of decks are playing 4 copies of Supreme Verdict. Well, I can't play Verdict, gotta play Mutilate, I still think you'd play 3 or 4.
He's very light on removal.
He does have another Mutilate in the board.
His removal package is pretty much 3 Slit, 3 Flesh, and Dimir Charm can be removal. Sure. But a lot of it's conditional. I guess I would personally, I agree with you. I think one of those removal spells should be shifted to a 3rd Mutilate.
He's got Liliana as another form of removal as well. And Nighthawk kind of doubles as removal when you think about the...
And Planeswalkers can do things like that too.
Desecration Demon as well. Although it's browbeat style removal. Like, if I really need to remove it, Desecration Demon's not going to remove it.
I agree. All right.
All right,
I'm
we're
glad we get to see
underway.
this game from the beginning. It was way too confusing. We didn't know that Todd had a psychic spiral in his graveyard.
Very
but now
strange
we'll
to
know.
see a thespian stage, and that's what Paul Tracey just played on turn 2.
It's yeah, it works as a 4th Drown Yard when you don't want to play 4 Drown Yard. Copy a Drown Yard or creating a Glacial Fortress or Isolated Chapel and adding.
Drowned Catacomb there.
Right, yep. I think he's no land here, and he hits his land drop.
Well, there's a Think Twice. Yep. Main phase Think Twice finds a land drop.
See, that's what I like. Main
Exactly.
phase, those instants, and hit those land drops. Don't be embarrassed.
And he finds a land on top there for turn 4. Plays a Watered Grave tapped. So right now it's his land go. Todd's going to cycle his Azorius Charm and finds a land of his own, a Watered Grave, coming into play untapped. And we're going to see, what are we going to see here? It is an Augur of Bolus with 2 mana up.
I see Psychic Spiral, I see Psychic Strike. He's got both Psychic cards in his hand.
Todd finds his Sphinx's Revelation on top, but Witchbane Orb goes to the bottom.
That's important.
Yes, very relevant. And a Devour Flesh from Paul takes out the Augur of Bolus before Todd's end of turn.
You got the old Mind Grind.
Uh-oh. So there's a Desecration Demon for Paul.
Todd obviously showing negate mana, not having that not being an answer for Desecration Demon.
Not an Essence Scatter in the deck.
As a control player, the least threatening card is always subtype creature.
Yeah, you got removal for that. They can hit the board and you can deal with them afterwards.
Exactly.
Todd plays his 5th land and passes back.
Jace here, added to the repertoire of cards. This is going to be easily countered here. I think Paul should have, again, when you pay 2 life with Augur and have 2 open, you have to assume he has a negate.
Yeah, and maybe he was just playing into it anyway, but Azorius Charm puts the Desecration Demon back on top after Paul's Jace Architect of Thought is negated, and the board is again clear. Now Jace Memory Adept from Todd.
Remember we had a little talk about this a little while ago before?
Yes, we did. You play a Jace, I negate it, then slam my own Jace when you're tapped out.
It's a vicious cycle.
Todd draws a card with Jace and mills a card.
And again, if you don't do that, you get to
that milled that Desecration Demon also, by the way.
Oh,
It was nice removal there. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, you're fine. I think it's a very dangerous play to make when you're on 4 land and tapping out against a player with full hand. And I would just sit there and say go for a long time.
All right, he is going to plus again, draw a card. I didn't see what he milled. Can't quite tell what that is, but Augur of Bolus comes down for Todd.
It's very clear why he's plussing Jace here.
And he finds a negate on the top. I believe Think Twice was the other spell.
The main reason why he's plussing Jace here is Todd can't lose at this point at current board state unless he 0/0/0s and gets Psychic Spiral, with counter backup. So if you keep plussing it here, you'll win the game eventually. You can 0 it once your hand's just full of naughty stuff, and then you can just end the game. If you were to 0/0 here, Paul does have the Psychic Spiral in his hand, and he could easily steal the game.
Very good point.
I think Todd again is just doing a plus here. There's just no reason.
Second copy of Drown Yard for Todd, and he's gonna plus him again, as you mentioned. Swing in. There's a Think Twice that was
In the exile or
exiled, and
Drown Yard, they got milled.
Drown Yard was milled. Yeah. And now looks like Paul untaps, facing down Augur of Bolus and Jace Memory Adept on 7 counters.
At this point in the game, looking at Paul's deck, he would need a miracle to win this game. He knows that Todd's been drawing cards and has just counterspell galore.
He knows he has at least one negate because it was found with the Augur.
Right. Now he's
going to use Dimir Charm
Charm
to take a look at what Todd's next few cards were going to be. He's going to bin a couple, Sphinx's Revelation and a Think Twice, I believe. And I didn't see what the third card was.
I think it was a Spring Verdict or something.
Okay.
I think it was a Wrath effect. If I was Todd here,
Looks like he's gonna.
He's drown
start
yarding
drowning.
here. He's got 5 minutes and 20 seconds. You got to take that into consideration.
Yeah, so he does drown, Paul.
What I would do instead of drowning, I would Revelation here max. Have every counterspell on my deck in my hand, and then just go
And
0,
then
0,
start
0,
drowning,
0,
yeah.
0.
And it was a supreme verdict, by the way, on the top for Todd Anderson.
I think it's a small mistake, but I don't think it's enough to cost him the game. I think at this point he would have to throw his deck in the trash can to lose the game.
Does he have? He doesn't have a Snapcaster.
He has a Dissipate and Negate, that what I see.
Okay, so he's got 2 counter spells.
He needs more though.
He
Again,
still looks like he is plus Jace again. He's going to play another Augur of Bolus and finds 3 lands, whiffs, puts him on the bottom, swings with his 1 Augur.
Do we all know the ultimate of Jace memory deck?
Isn't it each of any number of target players draws 20 cards or something like that?
Yeah, I thought that was Jace Belleron. I actually don't know the ultimate of Jace memory deck. Jace Belleron is.
When do you ever ultimated Jace Memory Adept?
Never actually, besides in limited.
Yeah, any number of target players each draw 20 cards.
Okay. What's Belleron's ultimate? Isn't that
It was
similar?
his was like mill 20, I think.
Mill 20? Oh,
Let's see. Target player puts the top 20 cards of his or her library into the graveyard. Yeah.
very similar effect.
So a Nighthawk comes down from Paul Tracey. He is currently getting drowned, and
so we might see a Jace actually killing them without them going to their upkeep. He would have to respond, if he has less than 20 cards in his library, he'd have to respond with something to stop it. He has 2 land open. Like I said, this game has to be over, I think. Todd seeing he has less than 20 in there. It's got to be close. I would say 23 cards. There's my control.
Just your intuition.
My intuition. I don't think it's enough. It's like in the low 20s right now, maybe mid 20s.
If just a packed hand.
If he had 19, the game would be over. All right, he's doing the mill 10 now.
Yeah. Jace Mills.
I think Todd has a Snapcaster now, so I think that he has
like 3 counter spells.
3 counter spells.
We know he's got Dissipate and Negate in hand, and if he has a Snapcaster, then that represents the Negate in the bin.
And Paul's been unable to draw lands to fuel the Psychic Spiral backup, so at best he can have 1 counter spell to defend, and that's not going to be enough.
Draws Witchbane Orb.
I think it's too little, too late. I think he's going to get countered here.
It's a must counter if he casts it.
This is the last turn Paul's going to live. Jason's going to ultimate next turn and kill him. So he needs to play it, and maybe Todd has 17 Supreme Verdicts in his hand.
Time in the round. These guys have a few minute extension for being on the feature match, but I believe we're going to be fine. So there's a Witchbane Orb, there's a Negate. And we're going to see Negate right back, and
should be Dissipate here.
Dissipates. Oh, he does not have Snapcaster. I didn't see a Snapcaster.
Okay, so he's got the Dissipate here.
Does he have Detention Sphere? So we're counting libraries here. It's less than 20. It's
17
less
cards.
Than 20. You counted, okay.
Yep.
So yeah, Todd basically just has to. Oh, he's going to think twice. Interesting.
He doesn't want to waste the Dissipate.
He's going to dissipate the.
And the game's over. He's going to untap.
Witchbane Orb, yeah, untap. Use Jace's ultimate, and Paul's going to be drawing dead. Or not drawing dead because there's nothing there to draw. So.
Oh yeah.
Oh, never mind. I'm sorry. He attacks.
What's the ultimate on Jace? 7, isn't it?
7, yeah.
Oh.
So I'm sorry. Like I was totally thinking Todd had that all locked up, but he finds another Dissipate on top, which is again going to fight through any Psychic Spiral shenanigans. So
we ignored the creature as we do by training here. Yeah. What's that 2 power guy going to do?
If Jace can mill 10 and the Drown Yard can mill.
He's
got double Drown Yard. He can put him down to 1 card.
I think you just 0 it here and then pass. Like I said, if he would have Revelation for like 6 at one turn instead of the 1 drown yard effect,
Right.
I think Todd would have had the fuel he needed to put this away for good. But like I said, he still is pretty much in the driver's seat.
If Paul had played Augur of Bolus, we could even predict what like the bottom cards were.
It's relevant in this format. It really is.
Yeah. 2 Augurs getting in.
For good measure.
Yeah. And with, I believe, 7 cards left in his library, Paul untaps. It is also relevant that this is turn 2 of extra turns. So,
if Paul has a Psychic Spiral and a counter, I'm going to try to kill him with this. Todd should count his land to see if it's, yeah, that's what he's doing.
Yeah, so a mind grind.
He's seeing if it'll kill him or not.
Yeah, he's trying to figure out how.
Todd should dissipate anyway because the game's over regardless because he's out of mana. But he's worried about maybe a free spell that might get him.
Wow.
I hate
isn't it till you hit
that many land in a row.
X lands, right?
Yeah.
So
he counted his land.
So he knows he has it. So
if you saw those top cards,
what was X4? I guess right there.
I think so. If you saw those top cards, it's kind of like what I said earlier. If he would have Revelation, his hand would have been full of dispels and whatnot.
Yeah, and that's it. So yeah, Todd untaps and would just mill Paul, the rest of Paul's library. That was close. That was really cool, and I really like Paul's deck.
I think it's good. I think it could use a little brushing up. The land is something that strikes out